All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. My name is Brett Mamston. I'm the chairman of the Lunenburg Sewer Commission. We are starting a little bit late due to technical difficulties. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to start the meeting by asking everybody to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance of this American flag I have. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. All right, in accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. We have the following information is provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use, hold on, I need to move something here. Please use the link to join the public meeting webinar found on the posted agenda or from a telephone dial toll-free number 888-475-4499. And enter the webinar ID code 831-8724-9940. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and email address. No participant ID is needed. Just press pound when asked. I will do a roll call for all members, followed by a roll call of our staff. I'm going to start with Joseph Hurley. He is not here. Also, we'll go to Dan Proctor.
Here.
And of course, Arthur Cadis.
Here.
Thank you. And Brett Ramsden is here. And just to double check, Scott Dahl is not present. Moving on to this.
I texted him, but I haven't got a response yet.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that, Arthur. And for the record, Arthur, when we're meeting in the hybrid meeting, with my hearing incapacity, I don't hear you on that speaker very well in case I miss things you are saying. I just wanted you to be aware of that, sir.
Okay.
But I hear you very well now because you're piped into my hearing aids. So
perfect.
All right, moving right along. The staff, Andrew Valerie.
Here.
Jane Ranley.
Here.
And Bill Bernard is not present. I understand. All right then. Let's move on to any public comments. Do you see any public?
No public.
Right. Do we have any comments or announcements from our commission or staff at this time? All right. Moving right along, let's jump into our current business. The minutes from 6/10/25 need to be approved. I looked them over. I found it looking excellent as usual. Is there anybody that wants to comment before we bring it to a vote? All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from 6/10/2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 6/10.
Thank you, sir. I'm looking for that motion to be seconded.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Arthur. The motion's been made and seconded. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Dan Proctor.
Aye.
Arthur Cadis.
Aye.
And I for myself. Is it Cadis or Cadis, Arthur?
Cadis is fine. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And let's see. All right. Well, let's move into the sewer business manager updates. Is there anything to report, Andrew, from the Dana Street repairs at this
Yeah, so Pride Environmental worked on the station last week. They checked to be sure that the bypass piping would work. They dug down a little bit to the pipe coming out of the pit. They'll install a thrust block to support that pipe. And let's see, and they're waiting on delivery of 2 fittings before they can actually start that work. But it's tentatively scheduled for June 30th, so it's coming Monday.
Very good. Arthur, did you have something you wanted to add or ask?
No, I didn't.
Oh, thank you. And Dan, did you have anything you wanted to ask about the Dana Street project?
No,
or-
that's good news. I'll be there June 30th to watch them.
I was gonna say you get to see it
Front
firsthand,
row
though.
seat. Yeah, that'll be great. Interested to see what that's all about, honestly.
Sure.
Yep.
Excellent. Something you know something about too.
A little bit. Like to learn.
Oh, absolutely. And then regarding the manhole repairs, the IFB, is there anything to talk about there, Andrew?
Yes. So in situ form, they submitted most of their required materials to us. So Bill is still reviewing that when he returns on Monday. He'll be able to dig further into that. It's just for compliance and specifications more so. But the work on that is tentatively scheduled to begin in July as well.
Excellent. Very good. And then we have some file cleaning to take care of, I understand. I looked at that paperwork. There's 48 boxes, I understand, at the school.
Yes, there were 48 boxes. I know that I think Jane, you went through them previously at some point.
Yes, Paula wanted to, certain things be pulled out that,
Yeah.
to add to the files in the office, so I had gone through, but
Yeah.
I always thought there was a lot more than that there, so somebody must have cleaned out a
If we're
lot
missing
before.
something, I think that because we were there with Bill, so labeling everything. There are definitely a lot of boxes and a lot of item numbers from years past. So I did. Actually, Scott wants to come in. One moment. So I did send that along to you guys as what they approved, what the state approved of. I actually put a little bit too much detail into it. I didn't have to do all that, but it's good to have it on the record as to what's going to be destroyed. So the state has all that information, and we have all that information. So
How far do these date back, Ed?
oh, 94? Yeah, 94.
Do we know if, I assume everything important has been transferred
Right.
digitally?
Yep, everything that's important that we actually need to have, we have, and we're storing, we're going to keep. But everything else, I mean, it's not needed. It's past its prime. It's not, no one's ever going to look at it. So it's it's great that we kept records of that nature, but it's really just kind of wasting space at this point. So
I'd like to welcome Scott Dahl to the meeting. Hello, sir.
I apologize. I don't know if I had 7 in my head or whatever. I did get the email this morning, but where it was the Brett's copy, it didn't have the hyperlink, so I was like struggling trying to find the hyperlink too. Luckily, Arthur texted me, so I apologize for my tardiness.
I had that same hyperlink problem myself.
Yeah, the one that he sends to you where it's got like the highlights, it doesn't seem to have the hyperlink. So I was like struggling trying to find an old email that had it. And then I was like, oh, there it is. And so I apologize.
No worries. Glad to have yours.
yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind for next time that everyone's has a proper link. My apologies.
Wow.
No, it's
Just how you
fine.
want.
It's just easy when it's there because I'm opening up reading the agenda or whatever. And then I'm like, okay. It's not like I have it saved in Zoom or anything like that.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that. And
Go on the public site, that you just download the minutes on the sewer commission.
Oh, on the
and then-
town site, it's there.
Yeah, that's what I do every time, because I look for the email and I'm like, screw it. And I just go right to the public site and I go right to sewer commission, the notes for 2025, and then it's right there.
All right, great.
So,
Thanks, Arthur.
generally, like I said, I like to send it your email, obviously. But yes, it's always on the website as well. Usually the Wednesday or Thursday beforehand. So I make sure that it's posted as well. So it's always on.
Excellent. So Andrew, is this something that we need to vote on for disposal of these files, or is this just informational?
It's just more informational to let the commission know, what we're doing, or what we plan on doing. Because Bill was really he wanted to get rid of those files because that building is going to be decommissioned in that portion. So
Yep.
there's only certain files that we are saving, but it's basically like some of the ones that we really truly don't need, that are just obsolete. It's just time for them to go.
Okay. Very good. All right then. Of course, I'm having a visual issue with my email for a moment. Very good. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, of course. Also, there was something else you sent us. What was that? The ADU?
Yep, that's
Oh, that's it, right? Oh, okay, right. Please proceed.
so we're not quite there yet. I don't know if we really want to get into the quarterly demands at the moment, but I'm sure we will. Having a little so we updated the Munis system, and I have an email into our tech support. What's his name? Randy. I'm waiting for him to email me back. So the issues with our demand, getting demands out, it's not the issue. They'll actually print on the proper billing sheets, but it's adding the strange numbers, $30 amounts or $20 amounts. So it's basically taking all the overdue bills and adding a crazy fee. The fee should only be $10. And so I had to reverse that today, got that reversed. So I need, once I get that worked on, then we can send them out. I just want to make sure that we're not overcharging customers for even being late, so.
Understood, and I'm sure everyone appreciates that too.
Yeah, I would hope so, but it's a little frustrating on my part as well. But I'm working on it actively. So hopefully next meeting we'll have a better outlook as that we got them out. So
We appreciate your efforts.
thank you.
All right, and then and then moving on, the ADU guidelines. I find that intriguing, and you sent us a
I did. So Lunenburg,
contract here.
in their in the bylaws, if you look at the bylaws of Lunenburg, it is in there for ADUs, and Fitchburg also has a bylaw as well. Unfortunately, right now in our sewer, it's just not the wording is not incorporated into our sewer bylaws, but that's something that we should, number one, I'm working on. I just need me and Bill need to work with town council on that as well, and then just to see how we go about incorporating that wording into our sewer bylaws. So basically all the information that I did send everyone is what the guidelines are to have an ADU. And I think the last portion, it did say Lunenburg at the end, if I'm correct.
It does, yep.
Yep. So I made, I found that wording. So if we can incorporate that obviously into update our current bylaws, that'll be good.
Good research. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions while looking at this?
Well, we were waiting on, this all came up, right, because we were determining if we were gonna, what the legalities were of charging the fee for an ADU tie-in, and how, what the surrounding towns would be, blah, 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 that's, I believe, where we left off by, from the last meeting, reading in the minutes. Did we get anywhere with that yet? I apologize if I, missed it.
So other town like Fitchburg, like I said, I was looking up, certain bylaws. So basically, I mean, the wording for most like Fitchburg and that I could find is
Mhm.
basically as ours. Leominster, I unfortunately couldn't find anything on any ADU guidelines whatsoever that I try to research. But like I said, I mean, the guidelines are pretty straightforward. Like I said, the last part, Lunenburg, I think it says it wouldn't be treated as an accessory, right? If I'm correct, I gotta look at that.
Accessory living
Yeah, it's an
apartments.
individual unit. It has to be at least 1,200 square feet.
Yeah.
And I
Uh.
think you could probably find some information, under the state guidance, because from what the paper's saying that we can't supersede, at least we have to meet the state guidance, and then bylaws, if they're
Mhm.
stricter, I don't know if it follows like that, we can do them. But I was just, maybe that's a source of, if all the other towns are kind of just wishy-washy on their information, maybe we look at the state and bounce it off our bylaws.
Right. And like I said, I know Lunenburg, I mean, I pulled that information directly from just the Lunenburg bylaws in general. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
unfortunately the wording is not incorporated into the sewer bylaws.
but where this is a new thing really being dictated by the federal government, with easing all these extra restrictions, I think it's something maybe we have to pioneer on it, of, putting it, because even just reading those guidelines, I mean, you could still have add, like Dan was mentioning last meeting, 2 or 3, it could be a 2 or 3 bedroom unit. Um, so now do we think, geez, do we have a flat fee, or is it a sliding scale on the scope and the size of the ADU, especially if there's going to be multiple ADUs? Because it's not so much the tie-in, it's also the extra use on the system.
But the flow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it certainly is a time to get the extra money. I mean, if it's there and a building
Yeah.
permit is issued, I mean, I don't think we're
I
doing
mean,
our job if we don't get something for it.
I certainly don't see it being a freebie just because you're already an existing customer, because it is just more on the system.
It
But
does demand its own kitchen, its own bathroom, its own separate everything. So, I mean, that right there probably justifies the fact that you can charge a second fee.
Gentlemen, what about the idea? Right here on the bylaws, it mentions it has to be smaller than 50% of the gross dwelling area. Maybe a starting point would be, the fee is what, 3,500 or 3,600 at this point, Andrew, for a new hookup, regular dwelling,
It does depend. Like I said, I
depends
think
on the size,
yeah, it depends on the basically it goes by bedrooms. I mean,
goes by bedrooms, right?
then it would seem to almost make sense that we should adopt some, by scale.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm only thinking of this as, as a complete layman house owner. I'd have to defer to you guys and to Dan. Like, if somebody's got an existing structure that may be tied into the system originally, right? And is everybody on the same size waste pipe coming out of the house, or is there something like, if these people tie in, is this something that we're going to be on the hook for now, that we have to increase the pipe size for the drain out of their house? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, look, I might just be totally off, but that's just me talking out loud. I mean, these things people could, I mean, look, if you got a 3 bedroom house and you're allowed 2 ADUs, and they can't be bigger than the 3 bedrooms. So say they put 2, that's 4 more bedrooms and 2 more kitchens. And, you know, possibly 3 or 4 bathrooms going on this. Can the existing draining system out of the personal property handle that?
Well,
Or
have-
is the city?
Yeah, so to answer your question, I mean,
Yeah.
the 6-inch pipes that are now, so when it comes out of the house, it's 4-inch, and then
Okay.
it's up to a 6-inch. That's the standard hookup for sewer. So
Yeah.
they have a 6-inch pipe that runs through their property that goes into the stub that was left by the town. So to answer your question, the 6-inch sewer will handle additional bedrooms, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms,
Okay.
bathrooms, the whole bit. So
Yeah.
there really should be no additional work of any of that. The 6-inch will
Yeah.
be sufficient. I think what Brett's point was, if these ADUs are roughly 50% of the size of the house, then should our fees be 50% of what was charged originally? In other words, like Andrew said, if it was a 3-bedroom house, which is $2,250, then are we now doing 50% of that? I mean, is that, a method we want to use as compared to a flat fee? There's multiple ways we can do it, but I don't think people would not expect to pay something to add an ADU and tie into an additional pipe coming out. So, because it's going to be in some form of a manhole or a Y connection or something that's already is already there, and they're going to add to it. That's basically how it's
Yeah,
gonna
but
work.
my, and I should have prefaced it better. My inquiry on that was, okay, if this was true and the 6-inch pipe couldn't handle the additional, now who foots the bill on the replacing it? Is it still covered under their initial permit fee? Or is this another permit or another thing we have to consider for tacking a fee on? If the town's responsible for tying them in, would it still be covered under the original where they were the ones putting the additional strain, the additional unit? So that was more of my thing.
Yeah.
But
No, understood.
yeah,
Well, I see where you're coming from, and thank you, Dan, for what you said.
yeah, appreciate that.
I was thinking it as what Dan clarified for me was a good starting place. And then should there be, maybe we could, and this is still the beginning of this discussion. But if we look at properties and not necessarily from the initial hookup fee, because fees have gone up, but the hookup fee that would be allocated for that type of property at whatever time, because they're going to go up again in 10 years, whatever it is. Let's say, for the sake of argument, a 3-bedroom house is $3,500 now. Then if they have they add one of these ADU dwellings, we say, okay, for any house that it would be $3,500 at this point in time to hook up, that it would be 50% that fee to hook up an ADU, and then potentially have a sort of not a side note, but an adaptation, something added to that, where a stipulation is what I'm looking to say. If for some reason the pipe that goes to the main in the street needs to be replaced, that has to also be addressed by the homeowner. And if it incurs more fees to the town, maybe the stipulation would have to be full cost again.
Well, that's where my,
Something like that.
that's where I was pretty much.
Not that it needs to be done, but
Yeah, and that's why I was asking if it, in reality, is that something that might come up? But where our system technically isn't that old, I'm sure the code was up to, overkill at the time. I just wanted to make sure it was still.
Dan, would you know that answer 20 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think the system was designed for a large amount of expansion, as far as the mains in the street. Again, what it comes down to is you have the main in the street, which might be a 10-inch main. Then they ran a stub off to the property line, which is those are all 6-inch. So again, there's nothing bigger coming off the main to private properties than 6-inch. But
Okay.
my knowledge, a 6-inch pipe will handle a lot of water. So, waste. So I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
Whether there's a problem in the system itself, I mean, that's, you know, unfortunately what I don't know because I haven't been here that long and I'm trying to learn, obviously, but you know,
Yeah.
that's another whole subject.
That's what the pipe cleanings are for.
Exactly.
And the pump replacement and
Right.
our maintenance people.
No,
who
absolutely.
do an amazing job. So.
Right.
Very good. Well, I think we're off to a good start here. From here, do we all want to think about this a little bit and see if this is a direction we want to?
Yeah, I would like to, you know, I know some of the other town sewer departments, so I'll try to visit some of them and just get some information from them as far as what they're thinking, you know, down the road with these ADUs. I mean, we're not the only community that's going to have them, so it's statewide for sure. So I know Andrew started the wheels on getting some information, you know, Fitchburg and Leominster and what have you, but I'll see if I can do a little research as well.
That'd be
Yeah,
appreciated.
and I would say too, only because we know, well, whatever, I'm finding out, you know, how slowly some things can, you know, get approved and pushed through. You know, the local town government, not a knock on it, just, you know, a lot of things that have to, a lot of moving parts. But I don't want to, you know, like Bill was mentioning, but, you know, a few months ago about that fee that was, you know, I'm totally barely speaking from memory. The fee that people were gonna be, that was expiring or whatever and going to a new format, so every builder and their mother was running down to get that grandfathered in permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just don't wanna be, I just have a feeling this ADU stuff is really gonna pick up steam at some point, and it'd be hard to chase it. Do you know what I mean? Like, cause,
Yeah,
you know,
no, I agree.
once they go up, they go up. I'd rather be proactive, and if it's something that we need to bring to the town board, I think we, you know, should do it sooner than later. Because it's gonna be you know, think about it, if you can put two on and these people are gonna put two, you know, and this land in Lunenburg, you know, and if the economy still continues the way it does, people are going to be looking for alternate income, and this whole town's going to take a whole different turn. So I'm thinking, you know, that you could have 100 permits out for ADUs with no fees, and then maybe, you know, there's only about, once we finally get the fees instituted, maybe there's like 20 more units. So now we just missed out on all that permitting money. So that, look, that's just my 2 cents towards it, but I think the sooner we get it in front of the powers that be, I don't, you know, I don't think anybody's gonna be like, no, don't put a, what do you know, I think we might get the question of, what do you mean we don't have a second permit, you know, another permit fee for an add-on, you know? So I don't think it's something that's gonna meet a lot of resistance, and if anything, it's gonna at least take some onus off other parts of the town. Or, you know, hell, off the sewer department. But like I said, that's just how I feel about it. I've only been here a couple of years, but it just seems to make sense.
No,
No,
I
I
agree.
agree. Yeah, absolutely. I just think we should be very proactive. And if it's easier just to do a flat fee, you know, maybe that's easier to do it that way rather than analyzing, you know,
Yeah,
how many bedrooms and how many bathrooms in each individual unit.
exactly.
That's more building department. That's
If
what they
we
do
get
with
that,
their
yeah,
system.
and if we get that in place and the building department or your planning board, whatever, all wants to, hey, maybe we should do it this way, well, then we already have it in place, and then it's just putting tiers on the permitting. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't see much resistance in the fact that we already charged to bring you on new construction on a house. This is just new construction on your own property. You know, it's
No,
not an
we
upgrade.
certainly need to add a fee. There has to be a fee for a connection, even on the same property. There's got to be
I
something.
well, do we only have to go as far as asking the water department? What are they charging for? Is it are they charging another hookup fee? I gotta believe they're not gonna branch the water lines off the original structure, are they? They're gonna run a new line down. I don't know. But I'm sure they're not doing it.
I'll talk to the water district about that.
Yeah,
before I
and
speak.
I'm just guessing
Yeah, no,
they're
it's a
not,
good point.
they're not
Yep,
doing it for free.
right. No, it's a good point.
It
They're all
might be
good
that,
points.
might be that simple.
Yep.
Very good. Well, we certainly want to keep that on the agenda. And thank you, Dan, for doing additional research. And Scott, thank you for your analytical analysis. We need that, to make sure we get everything covered
Yeah.
down the line. So I appreciate your input there. And before we start talking about future agenda items, does anybody else have anything they want to further discuss with the ADU?
I don't think so. That list that Andrew had sent out answered a lot of little questions of just what's involved with it, for my own personal knowledge. So yeah, that definitely helped.
Excellent. So future agenda items, we certainly want to keep Dana Street on there. Today's minutes, keep the manhole repair IFB on there. Anything regarding quarterly demands, if you think it needs to be there, Andrew?
Yeah,
Obviously,
I would like to leave that on for our next meeting. Of course, yeah.
I suspected that's a great idea. Thank you. And of course, anything else you come across along the way, you
Sure.
or Bill, that you feel should be on there. And of course, the ADU guidelines for the discussion, and maybe we can make some decisions about reaching out to who we have to and having this down. Beyond that, is there any public comment or comment from staff or commissioners at this time?
I'm not sure if anybody saw the email, but Joe Hurley had sent out an email to everyone that he's been sick with a high fever, and sorry to miss the last meeting, but that's why he's not here tonight.
No, I did not see. That's too bad.
Sorry to hear that. We wish him well, and thank you, Jane. I appreciate that. I did not see that email. All right. Well, the upcoming meetings, our next one is going to be a hybrid at 7 p.m. At the DPW building on July 8th, and then July 29th would be Zoom again at 6 p.m. And then we're going to be having an August 12th at 7 p.m. regular hybrid meeting at the DPW, and then August 26th at 6 p.m. That's a Zoom meeting like this. That's what we have. And I thank everybody for everybody's input and cooperation tonight. And I am now looking for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can someone second that?
Second.
I'll second that.
All right, very good. Scott Dahl
Aye.
and Dan Proctor,
Aye.
Arthur Cadis,
Aye.
and I for myself. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Good evening, Lunenburg.
Have a good night.
Take
Stay
care,
cool.
guys.
Everybody have a great night.